So we are all aware of Native Instruments' partnership with Akai, allowing access to some of the Play Series plugins for MPC users. So they took it a step further and announced NKS onboarding for the Novation keyboards and audio keyboards, Korg, and Akai. What this means is if you have the proper MIDI templates installed, you can control Komplete Kontrol with your non-native instruments keyboard. You'll be able to browse through sounds and adjust parameters on your keyboard controllers. I've had the Native Instruments Komplete Kontrol S61, both the original and the second version with the two screens. I've had the Machine Studio, I currently have the Machine MK3, and I think this is great because I do now own a Launch Key 49 MK4 as well as a Launch Key Mini 37 MK4 for the Go. So having these automatically mapped to Native Instruments is a huge win for me and those who consider themselves hardware agnostic. Native Instruments, in my opinion, has always had the best actual software and sounds, so it just makes sense for them to license out their sounds to hardware controller manufacturers. They already license their sounds out to DAWs technically, so this would be just the next step. Now, as a Native Instruments user, my hope is they use these funds to develop their own hardware and maybe we get a new machine out of the deal or even a new Komplete Kontrol, but one along the lines of the MPC Key 37 where it's like an all-in-one standalone deal. I held out on the Machine Plus just because it doesn't have Machine 3.0 yet, and some say it's got a few bugs. To me on paper, the specs don't seem terrible. I mean, it seems equivalent to like a mid-tier Akai product, but I don't know, I'm not in the standalone world really. If I want to be mobile, I'll either take my laptop and Novation Mini or Push 3 or Machine MK3 and just close my laptop and that does the job for me. Now my question is, since Native Instruments seems to be going this route, is eventually will they let Logic or Ableton have access to these sounds for the Push 3 standalone and Logic on iPad? Or will this just be for Akai and they'll be the only ones that can use the software with their standalone stuff? I mean, if you're gonna let people use your software, why not just talk directly to the big dogs, the actual DAWs, and let them use the expansions for standalone as well? Also, will other virtual instrument and software developers follow route and integrate their software into more hardware? I don't know, like East West or Omnisphere. Like, is this gonna create a trend of companies collaborating with hardware developers, or is this just one of one with Native Instruments? I know the Native Instruments community hasn't been the most content, and to them it's like, all of these other users are getting the latest and greatest stuff, and we can't even get Machine 3.0 software on the Machine Plus. Or for the longest, the new Komplete Kontrol keyboard wasn't working in Machine 2.0. And all of these complaints are totally justified, and I get it, I bought all the stuff too. But at the end of the day, if we want the actual best product, the best sounds, the best hardware, the best workflow for you, I think more collaborations will be beneficial to everybody. I mean, at some point, Mac had to let Windows license them Microsoft Office and stuff, and I think Android users can now FaceTime, so these are wins for everybody. If you look at the timeline, it's really interesting, like how Native Instruments started as a software company and with Contact and all that, and then eventually made like Machine and Tractor and Komplete Kontrol, and they went over to the hardware side, and how Akai kind of did the opposite. So they started with the MPC hardware, and then they eventually went over to the software side, now, with their peak being 3.0 now, which from standalone users, from what I hear, that pretty much kind of sets the bar for like a DAW in a standalone format. I've never used it, so I can't really compare it to like 2.0 versus 3 to see if it was that big of a jump. So for people who have an Akai, please leave a comment and let me know. And Machine tried to do that with the Machine Plus, but I think it's just more difficult when you don't have a touchscreen with editing MIDI and stuff like that. Maybe like adjusting some parameters that are on an XY axis where you need to physically touch. I just think when Akai went to touchscreen, it made more sense for them to eventually evolve into a semi-full DAW on the hardware versus with Machine, it's more muscle memory type of deal. And again, it on paper, the Machine Plus I thought was solid. I know, it had bugs and I know it needs updates, but I don't know if it's worth it for them to make a new one or just to push the update, especially if they're letting other people just use their software. I don't know. But I mean, if we're gonna do this, why not stop there, man? Let the Push 3 standalone guys have it. And granted, I have the Push 3. I don't have the standalone. I have the controller version, and it's legit. And the Push 3 standalone is really specced out, and it's cool that they make like the controller version upgradable, where you can just buy the hardware stuff for it. But some people argue that it's not fully standalone because it doesn't have like the arranger view that MPC now does have, or that the Machine Plus has. And so this is just a special time to be alive in general if you're a music creator, because this is like the first time where enemies are collabing for the greater good in a way, if you see it that way. And I think it's benefiting everybody who makes music. But leave a comment on whether you are for this, against this, or in the middle. Are you guys liking the new direction Native Instruments is going, or do you prefer them to keep their software to themselves and make it only available internally for their own hardware? So leave a comment, tell me what you think. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.